Call of Duty as a franchise has sold an estimated 500 million copies. It's always at the top of bestseller charts, and there's even a movie adaptation on the way. And the latest release, Black Ops 7, seems to be following that successful trend, getting some pretty good reviews, hitting 7s, 8s and 9s out of 10s on most major review sites. But that's been overshadowed, unfortunately, by one big controversy. The controversy affecting not just COD, but the entire video game industry on the whole. Speaking of affecting things, affects that subscribe button for me. So the most unexpected thing that happened this year, we got a new COD. Who'da thunk it? We also got a new Battlefield. A Battlefield that's like really good. These two games are really similar as far as like casual play goes. Though for COD to really stand out this year, it would have to work harder, especially since recent iterations of COD have shown it taking a less serious path, with it becoming more akin to something like Forkknife, with skins like Beavis and Butthead.
I am Cornelius! I need tippy for my bunko!
Fans were afraid that the series was losing its identity, and it has been slowly for a while now. But many believe that this new COD could be a turning point, getting the franchise back on track. It had the name recognition, of course, it was always going to sell. If only they just made the game actually good and avoided any negative press, then this could be one of the best COD releases ever. Avoided. Call of Duty is littered with AI art slop because your $70 means nothing anymore. So this was always going to happen. In fact, it has been happening. AI in its many forms has been seeping into the development of new games. Arc Raiders just made headlines after Eurogamer gave it an absolutely glowing review, then gave it 2 stars because of its use of AI. Some people don't mind AI, some people love it, but a lot of people very much hate it. The Arc Raiders developers have been very open about their AI usage and have gone out of their way to make sure it's quote-unquote ethical AI use. Biggest use in Arc Raiders of AI was voice acting, and even that was done with permission from the voice actors who the models were trained after. But just because Michael Caine and Matthew McConaughey decide to blow the bloody doors off by agreeing that it's okay for 11 labs to use their voices to train AI, which they just did, that doesn't mean that it's okay across the board, or that everyone should agree to this. Alright. In fact, the courts of law still have not caught up to all this AI madness yet, because it is just developing and moving too fast, and it's like everywhere all at once. So it's quite literally legally still a grey area at this point, and probably will be for quite some time. There's a similar case to this, by the way, from the early 1900s with the rise of motion pictures. Films would often adapt books without consent. Copyright for movies was not really a thing yet, so studios would just make films based on famous books and profit from them for free. It took some time and some really high profile cases before the law actually caught up and put things in place to stop authors' work being remade without permission, and of course without them getting any compensation. This is how I see AI, and a lot of my issues stem from the fact that it's using other people's work without their permission or compensation, though there are many other issues going on. But this AI debate is currently reaching critical mass, and now COD has waded in with not just using AI images, but using obvious AI images. Now, there's been a lot of accusations of AI art thrown around, but the reality is, it's very hard to prove most of it. But the focus, at least with COD, is that they are using calling card images that, look a lot like AI art trained by Studio Ghibli. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Studio Ghibli has probably not been paid or even asked permission to use their art. Now, Activision has been accused of using AI art in the past and has admitted to using AI to help create the art. Well, this kind of makes the current ones worse, because not only are they more obvious, like COD is just not trying to hide it anymore, but they are doing it knowing full well that they're going to get flack for it. They just don't care. Activision obviously just thinks that this is the future of video game development, and they're just pushing through it, all the negative press, until eventually it's going to be accepted and normalized. Now, here's the thing. I think that these images were probably helped a lot by AI technology. In a statement provided to PC Gamer, Activision said, "Like so many around the world, we do use a variety of digital tools, including AI tools, to empower and support our teams to create the best gaming experience possible for our players. Our creative process continues to be led by the talented individuals in our studios." Which is funny for 2 reasons. One, because Activision thinks that really bad AI art is what's best for gamers, like that's the best experience possible for us. And they also start with, "like so many around the world," which to me feels like the company is just kind of saying, well, everyone else is doing it. But it's also not an admission that the accusations about this art is in fact egregious AI use. They could just be saying that they use AI to take notes in meetings. But I also think the fact that they are not coming out and explicitly saying the art in question is not heavily AI makes it pretty suspicious. Either way, it feels like right now there's a bunch of people on Twitter looking at this art and saying, this is AI art, isn't it? And Activision are saying, maybe. Look, when you get caught with your hand in a cookie jar, you either say, yeah, I was taking a cookie, or, oh, I just slipped and fell into the cookie jar, stepbrother. You don't say, like so many kids in the world, I like cookies, and sometimes I do eat cookies, but my cookie eating process continues to put myself and the cookie jar and you first at all times, where I can. Funniest thing is, whether AI or not, these calling cards are pretty universally being made fun of, just for being straight up ugly. So it's almost better if it is AI, rather than some poor artist who is just getting bullied non-stop online. But it does beg the question, as AI gets more prominent, is the goal of these larger studios just to make lazier, uglier games that are worse for the consumer, but easier and cheaper for them to make? Like, is AI in video games gonna help the players in any way, or is it all to the benefit of the studios? Also, in theory, if games got easier and cheaper to make using AI, does that mean that games are going to get cheaper for consumers to buy? You would certainly hope so, but I somehow doubt it. Either way, the AI debate is getting hotter than ever, and it's time that the consumers really picked a side. We really need to not rely on what Michael Caine and Matthew McConaughey are saying, or what big video game developers are doing and saying. And we definitely can't wait for the courts to catch up with some actual laws. We kind of need to figure out what we as individuals are happy with in our games, and where do we stand on AI art and its usage in the art and content we enjoy. Because this is capitalism. The consumers still hold all the power. I mean, kind of. The rich people hold the power, but if no one buys games with a lot of AI use in it, then no one will make games with a lot of AI usage in it. So this whole thing has really made me stop and just think about, okay, I don't really love the idea of AI. Why don't I like the idea of AI? Let's really get it down. I don't like that it's trained on other people's work and they're not getting compensation from it. So if there was a system in place where people could use AI, and I know the people who would normally get paid for it and whose work it's based on are getting paid for it and agreeing to it, then I guess that's no longer an issue. Then the other side of the coin is, I also just think it's kind of like not very creative and lacks soul, and I don't want it in my art, but that's less of a moral standpoint to have and more just a preference that I can control as a consumer depending what I pay for. There's also stuff like environmental issues that I have as well, but if they manage to fix a lot of that stuff, then I think I wouldn't have as much a problem with AI art in general, apart from the fact that I think it looks bad, which they may fix that as well. It may look good, but I also think it just lacks soul and creativity, and it's not art of any value. Really. No one's ever going to be going to a museum and just looking at a bunch of AI art because it has none of that human connection. You may disagree with me, and that's fair, and that's where we stand. We can disagree on this. What I'm saying is we should all figure out where we stand. And one thing's for sure about this whole debate. It's about to get worse before it gets better. And if COD, one of the biggest franchises in gaming, is using AI like this, then we're about to see it everywhere. One conspiracy theory I heard is that Activision have been drip-feeding AI slop into their games on purpose, making it look bad on purpose, to get their consumers used to it, so they can normalize it and just use it in the future without the controversy. It will just become, oh, that's just what Activision games do. I'm not sure I believe that. I believe Activision just think this is the future, so they're just powering through. It also benefits them. It doesn't benefit the players. I don't believe that. I think it's cheaper for them to make games like this, cheaper and easier. The reality is, I would rather the cards were made by actual artists, and it kind of bums me out that it's not. But yeah, the first part of this whole thing was, you know, AI getting so good that it could be used in this way, and now the next step is just it becoming normalized, and we have the early adopters like Activision normalizing it at this point. And yeah, I guess we just see how this all unfolds. If you want something more positive to watch, check out this video about Dispatch and why I think it's going to change. Actually, it's not that positive, but I'm hoping it's going to change the gaming industry for the better. It may not. It's definitely going to change it though.